All right, so right now we're headed to Anaheim. Anaheim's about hour and a half, hour and 15, give or take, from where we're at right now. Today we have a Mustang. I'm not usually a Mustang fan, but I can appreciate the builds that people make out of Mustangs. This guy was actually referred to me by London Reese. London Reese is a tattoo artist in Dana Point. Dude's amazing, but he's a good friend of mine, and he referred me to this guy. We have a supercharged Mustang for you guys. The guy spent a lot of money to make this car look good. I haven't heard it, so I can't tell you if it sounds good, but you know, and it's actually up for sale too. So watching this video, if you see it and you're like, hey, I want to buy this car, it's up for sale. All right, so we're like 15 minutes out right now. All right, guys, today we have Mike here. Mike has a 2015 Mustang for us. It's got a lot of work done underneath the hood. He said something around 700 horsepower, right?
Yeah, a little over that.
Can I ask you this, man?
Yeah.
So there's obviously a lot of controversy with Mustangs. People either love Mustangs or they hate them, or there's like this thing. Why build a Mustang? What was it about the Mustang?
The community I grew up in New Jersey, I grew up in Union City, New Jersey. It's heavy tuner.
Okay.
Like all Civics and, you know, back in my day it was GTIs, you know, the R32. And that's when like the 335i had just come out. I didn't have a car growing up. Like my family was kind of poor, so we walked everywhere. Yeah. And the first car I bought was actually a Mazda 3, when the Mazda 3 was brand new. That's cool. And then that was right about the time that they made the 2005 Mustang. If you know anything about the 2005 Mustang, it's the retro Mustang. Yeah. So they came out with that, and I was absolutely in love with that car. I couldn't afford the GT at the time, so I bought a V6. And I'm actually thankful I did, because I was 19 years old. 210 horsepower for me, that was a lot. Yeah. I owned it for a couple of years, and then I moved on to a GT, and I've had GTs ever since. And I've always just kind of like had a thing for Mustangs, you know. Like
what about it though? Like
just like the sound, the looks. Like I love Fox bodies, that style. And there's the same thing. People either love those or they hate those.
So you pretty much then always had Mustangs, or it's always been. It kind of started from a young age. You bought one and then it just kept going. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think I've owned 6 or 7 now. So let's start with the wheel and tire setup.
Right. So the wheels, they're from Ford Star. It's actually local here in Anaheim. Sweet. They're M14s. Basically, you can customize these wheels any way you like. So you can customize the face, the lip, and then the hardware setup. So this is a matte black face with a gloss black lip, and then obviously red hardware. Okay. They have a bunch of different color options, which is kind of cool about these wheels.
What about the actual size?
So the actual size of the front wheel is 19 by 10 with a 1.5 inch lip. And then the back wheel is 19 by 11 with a 2.5 inch lip. The front wheels are sitting on Toyo R888Rs. They're 275 3519s. And in the rears, they're also Toyo R888Rs, and they're 305 3019.
Got some meaty tires back there, nice.
Yeah, super pricey tires, but they're a very aggressive tread too. Pretty sticky, especially if you're doing road course. These are great tires for road course.
How do you feel just daily driving them?
Daily driving them, I love them. You know, especially for the amount of power that I have. I can get traction in a second gear pull. First gear is, you know, a little iffy. Yeah. But a second gear pull, yeah, I can absolutely get traction with these tires. Are you running any type of spacers or anything for this setup? No spacers. No spacers? These wheels had to be custom to actually fit my car. We actually had to like pick the offset to make it work.
The car's wrapped in satin black?
Yeah, so the car's wrapped in satin black. It's Avery satin black. Cool. I think I've had it like a year and a half now.
Yeah. I actually started wrapping my M3 in this same color, and I never finished it. because it was like, it's a very unforgiving color.
Yes, I've always said black is the prettiest color when it's clean, but wait 5 minutes, you know?
You mentioned to me earlier that you did track this car at one point.
Correct.
Is that something that you still do now, or
no?
Is that...
I don't really have the time anymore to track it. So I used to just track it as it sat when I had the Mickey Thompsons.
Yeah.
We'd usually, the track was about an hour away. We'd either go to Baton Rouge or we go out to Biloxi, Mississippi, and drive out my hour and hop right on the track and start hop lapping. So full weight, everything, and we would run 10 seconds, 10-second time slips. I think my best mile per hour is like 132. It was, I just wanted to see what it would do as it sat. The bumper is a stock bumper. I don't know if you noticed, I have little quick latches on the side.
Okay.
So these Mustangs are notorious for the tabs breaking on the side. So a lot of people will then run quick latch, and basically you just pop it off. The grill is aftermarket, so it's an RTR grill. You can probably see the ram air ducts in there. And then the lip is a double stack lip. So the top lip is actually the OEM lip.
Okay.
The OEM Performance Package one.
Gotcha.
And then the bottom lip is an entire piece that bolts up to it. APR does something similar. They usually just have like a flat piece.
But this isn't APR.
No, this is not APR, yeah. But as you can see, like this kind of has like contours.
Yeah.
So it contours to the lip above it. And
That's
then the decal that I put on is kind of paying homage to like the old fighter jets, where they had like no step on them in like NASCAR. They do that. So the lower grill is from Lethal Performance. It's just an open grill. So just to allow air in to hit the heat exchanger. Yeah, and then the lights are different too. So they're made by Op7. And what they do is they're an LED light, and then when you put the blinker on, they're sequential like that.
Oh, cool.
And so the headlights do the same thing. Then the headlights are painted as well. So that's
the housing.
Yeah, so the whole
black?
housing is painted black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it painted black.
I know that's always such a classic look to me, because it just like it makes it so much meaner just to have the black housing. So let's go back to the rear.
On the whole back, I'll start kind of in the middle and work my way down, then back up to the spoiler. The taillights are just taillight tint that I bought. They've been on the car almost since I've owned it. The deck lid panel is from Ford Racing. It just basically eliminates the rear badge, the GC badge that's back there.
So it's not just debadging, it's actually a separate piece?
No, it's an entire panel, yeah. So basically this entire panel here pops out, and you have to put the new one in.
Did you have to get that like paint matched and everything
No,
too?
It's just gloss black.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they all come gloss black like that. Yeah, so then the dorsal fins down at the bottom, those are 4 individual fins. They're fiberglass. The rear spoiler is carbon fiber, and then it has the red hardware on. All that hardware is on there because you can actually put an extended wicker bill on here, and that kind of helps with like downforce. But I don't run it just because I like the look of the hardware on there. Yeah, that's pretty much the rear end.
Where does the Venom thing come from?
The name I go by on Instagram is V8 Venom.
Yeah.
I actually came up with that back in like 2005-ish, 2006, when the big thing back then was forums. Yeah, so the Venom thing comes from there. I never really named this car. Nowadays, everybody is like, oh, they go by your Instagram name when you see them at a show. So people were like, oh, that's Venom, that's Venom. So I kind of came up with the theme, well, all right, so if it's Venom, I'm just gonna do Venom.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I forgot the end pieces that go on here.
So you basically bring them for a show, pop up the
Yeah, if I have a show, I'll do that. I mean, I have a carbon fiber one that I run too, and it's got like a little build plate on it with my name and like the build number and stuff like that. But yeah, this is custom airbrushed.
So tell me about the supercharger setup.
It's a Whipple supercharger. It's a Generation 3 2.9. It's race red. Put it on the car November of 2015. I had like 5,000 or 6,000 miles on the car.
Damn, so you really just put it on right away then? You didn't even drive it stock for very long?
Yeah, I mean 5,000 miles, that's not a lot. I tried to match some of the things under here, so you can see like Mishimoto coolant tank.
Yeah.
I had that powder coated to match the supercharger.
That's cool.
The coil covers, they're carbon fiber, and then the decals are actually from Whipple themselves. They're called Whipple 3D decals. So I just bought them separately and then had them put on the coil
Yeah, it looks
covers.
good. It's very clean.
Yeah, then I got my meth line running here, so that goes into the intake elbow. And that's all real carbon fiber too.
So what are you running as far as horsepower, torque, all that?
It was dynoed at Whipple. Whipple's telling me that since their dyno's super old, it's not very accurate, and it dynoed at 710, 540 up there.
Okay.
So there should be a little bit more horsepower roughly. It's actually on a very conservative tune as well.
So what about exhaust setup?
Yeah, so the exhaust, I'm running Stainless Works 1 7/8 inch long tube headers. And then it attaches up to AWE Touring Catback exhaust. That's a 3-inch exhaust. So normally when you go from headers to the drop down where the catback is,
yeah,
you'll usually have, it'll drop down to like a 2.5 or 2 1/4. Yeah, so we had custom piping made, so that way it's 3 all the way to the back. So it's an actual true 3-inch exhaust instead of having the drop down all the way back. And then the exhaust tips are, they're called black diamond tips. But
Sweet.
I love the AWE exhaust because it comes with an H-pipe and then built-in resonators. With an H-pipe, you always get a little bit of a deeper sound on a Mustang, whereas X is gonna be a little bit raspier. I agree.
Oh, cool, man. I mean, it all looks clean. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap up the V8 Venom build. We had a 700 horsepower Mustang here. Mike, thanks for having us.